Hello everyone, welcome to another GCSE online chemistry lesson. Just bear with me and I'll share the screen for our lesson with you. Here we go. So the learning question today is, how can we create drinking water from the sea? Sometimes scientists call drinking water potable water. So it can either be called drinking water or potable water. So hopefully you've got a pen and a piece of paper with you. If not, then just pause the video and go and grab it. And I'd like you to write down the learning question and think of as many ways that we can use tap water as you can. Okay, so just pause the video and do that now. I'm sure that you can probably even think of more ways than I can. Well done. So it's really important for us that we have water from our tap, and it's a real luxury because there are still many people in the world who don't have drinking water available and don't have water available from the tap. So we use it to have a bath or a shower, we use it for washing up, keeping things clean, we use it for boiling the kettle, we use it, lots of things, watering our plants, so lots of uses in agriculture, watering things, and obviously we use it to drink. So I have a quick revision quiz of, so if you remember the last few lessons, we've been looking at different separation techniques in chemistry. So these are just a couple of revision questions about those. So we can go through it together. So if you write down question number 1, which of these is soluble in water, sand or salt? So write down what you think. Pause the video if you need to, have a bit more thought. Brilliant, well done. So, I won't show all the answers at once, we'll go through them. What separation method is used to remove insoluble solids from a liquid? What is the boiling point of water in degrees Celsius? What's the separation method you could use to separate water from salt? And name the 2 state changes involved in distillation. Okay, so pause the video, make sure that you've got an answer for all of those. It'd be really nice if you could write in sentences, because then you will have this for revision. Well done. Okay, so checking our answers now. So salt is soluble in water. Soluble, if you remember, just means it dissolves. So if you stir salt in water, it will dissolve, so it's soluble. The separation method to remove insoluble solids, so for example like sand, from a liquid is filtration. So remember, if you remember the equipment that you sketched out, you had a funnel and a piece of filter paper, and you pour the mixture of sand and water into the funnel, and the water goes through, leaving the sand. The boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. Separation method to separate water from salt is distillation. So if you need a bit more revision on distillation, then feel free to go back and watch the previous video on that. And the 2 state changes involved in distillation are evaporation and condensation. And we looked at state changes in one of our chemistry lessons. So if you need to go back and look at that, then do so, because we're going to be using those words a little bit later on in today's lesson. So, talking about making drinking water, first of all, from fresh sources. So fresh sources that aren't salty, like from rivers and from lakes. So that's where we get most of our water, most of our drinking water from in this country. Get them from freshwater sources like rivers and lakes and aqueducts and things. So the first thing you do is you collect the water from the source and you put it in a large sedimentation tank. What I'd like you to do is just write this down as a flow chart as we go along. So don't worry about drawing the equipment and stuff, just write the different steps as a flow chart as we go along. So it goes into a sedimentation tank. All the large pieces, like big pieces of plant, things like that, will settle into the bottom of that sedimentation tank. The next thing that happens is the water flows into this large filtration tower. Now this filtration tower has sand and gravel in it, and what the sand and gravel does is it filters out, like a piece of filter paper, filters out all the tiny bits of grit and dust and sand and things. Then what happens is chlorine, or a different kind of sterilizer, is added to the water. What that does is it kills all the microorganisms like bacteria and things like that, because they'd be really dangerous if we had those in our water. Then the drinking water gets stored in a large tower, ready for it to be used in homes or in industry or in agriculture, things like that. Okay, so if you'd like to pause the video just to make sure that you've got all those steps down in a nice flow chart, so you know all the steps of making fresh water safe for us to drink. Well done. Okay, so a little quiz now. So if you can cover up the flow chart that you've just done and answer these questions 1 to 5 with true or false. Okay, so pause the video and do that now. Fab. So checking your own answers then. So hopefully you get lots of ticks for this. So chlorination is used to kill the bacteria in water. Sedimentation is the first step. Yep, that's true. Filtration is the first step. Nope, that's false. It's the second one. Sand is used in the sedimentation process. Nope, false. It's used in the filtration process. Number 5, gravel is used in the filtration process. Yes, that's true. So remember, it's sand and gravel in that filtration process. That sedimentation process is just a large tank where everything kind of settles to the bottom. Well done. So that's how we can make safe drinking water out of fresh sources. The problem for a lot of countries is that 97%, so most of the water, is in the oceans, is in our oceans, and we can't drink that. So humans can't drink that because it's far too salty and it wouldn't be safe. It would imbalance all our electrolytes. You can't drink seawater; it will send you mad and eventually kill you. Okay, because there's too much salt and other minerals in it. All right, so for that reason, there needs to be a safe way of making drinking water from salty seawater. So that's what we are going to have a look at now. Okay, so this video is really interesting, and I found this, and this is like a kind of Bear Grylls type video. So this is how to make safe drinking water from seawater if you're out camping. So if you're out camping or hiking or something and the only water available is salty water, this is how to design a piece of equipment that can make that water safe for drinking. Okay, so what this guy has designed is a piece of equipment that you can take out if you're camping or like hiking outside or exploring outside, that can convert salty water into drinkable, potable water. So what he's got here is he's got this flask, and if you looked earlier on at what he was doing, that flask contained the water, and he put it over a campfire. Okay, and you could put it over a campfire, you could put it over any flame that's being burnt with oil or fuel or anything like that. Okay, so you put it over that. What happens then is the water inside it, that salty water will evaporate, leaving the salt behind inside the container. So that water will evaporate and it will travel down the tube. As it travels down, if you look at the tube, it's really, really long. So it's got a really large like surface area. So it's lots of opportunity for that water to cool down and condense inside that long tube. So as that water travels along that tube and cools down, it recondenses. So what drips out of the end, there is your pure water that you can then drink. Okay, I thought that was a pretty cool piece of equipment that he designed. So looking at the more industrial scale equipment that can be used to make seawater or salty water into drinkable water, usually oil is pumped in underneath and then it burns, so it creates a lot of heat underneath, and you have your salty water coming in here. It boils, the water then evaporates, and as it travels down this part here, it will condense again as it cools down, and you get pure water coming out. Okay, so there are two, just move me there. There are two questions here for you to pick. So if you're not feeling so confident, then just pick the silver question. If you're feeling really confident, then pick the gold. So silver, write down what happens, and I'll give you a clue. There's state changes that are happening at A and B. And gold, could you just possibly go back in the video if you need to again, but write out an explanation of how pure water is produced using this apparatus. You'll still need to use the words that are the processes of A and B, but can you write it out as more of an explanation? Okay, so pause the video and have a go at that now. Well done. So the last thing, you'll be glad to know that we're at the end of the lesson now. So the last thing that we're going to do is an exit ticket. So just a couple of questions to do with what we've looked at this lesson. So making drinkable or potable water. Okay, so we'll mark you can mark these yourselves afterwards, but please pause the video, have a go at writing these out. Please, if you can, use full sentences, because like I said, they're really good for revision. And hopefully what you're doing is keeping all of your notes and all of your lessons together in almost like a science book like we have in school. So I would love to look through what some of you are doing. I see, because some of you email me them and some of you put your answers on Shobi if we set an assignment on Shobi. But I'm so proud of any of you who are doing these lessons, and I'd love to be able to look through them one day. It makes me really proud. Okay, so pause the video, have a go at answering those. Well done. So the process that can be used to create drinking water from seawater is distillation. Remember that evaporation of water and then the condensation in order to separate it out, we call that distillation. What's the purpose of chlorination? It's to sterilize it, or I'd give you the mark if you put kill bacteria or something like that. What are the main stages in creating drinking water from freshwater sources? Sedimentation, remember that large tank where everything sort of settles at the bottom. Filtration through the sand and the gravel, and sterilization to kill the bacteria. And which part of the process uses gravel and sand? It is, of course, the filtration part. Well done. We've got to the end of the lesson. Hope you're all well and keeping safe. And yeah, we miss you lots and we can't wait to see you soon. But I will see you next week when I'll be uploading another lesson. Cheers, guys.